What's going on, guys? It's Daniel from CoinSpots here. We're back again on this Thursday, cranking out these videos on the daily, Monday through Friday. If you could hit that like button, that'd be very much appreciated. Helps get these videos out there. Hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. And let's get right into this. So today, CoinMarketCap, a little green, better than yesterday where we were just falling off a cliff, but hey, it's crypto. What do you expect? So for the technicals today, it's going to be pretty brief because there aren't any new setups that I'm looking at. I'm just going to kind of reiterate a short setup that I'm eyeing on Bitcoin and then kind of talk about where Bitcoin bounced, at least for the short term. Take a brief look at ZRX and why it pumped like 50% in like 30 minutes. Then we're going to be taking a look at Coinbase Pro and what Coinbase just announced today. And then also an interesting piece from the Wall Street Journal about how smaller banks are capitalizing on this cryptocurrency boom pretty much. So right here on the 4-hour on Bitcoin, I was talking about last video how I was looking at this potential short setup that we were going to bounce at the April 3rd swing high and then come back up to this 0.382 Fibonacci level, and it's going to turn to resistance as we've had two touches of support here and a fairly violent breakthrough of the level. So this 0.382 level is hopefully, or there's a good indication or a good probability that it's going to hold as resistance on the way up. Now, what was interesting about the bounce last night was at first it was at this swing high from April 3rd, as you can see here, went down, closed above it, but then actually I woke up this morning and I saw we broke through the level and we actually bounced at the swing low from March, which is actually pretty interesting because I didn't even have this level marked on my chart right before we bounced. And, basically I just got up and I'm like, whoa, where'd we bounce? And I saw that, I drew this line. I'm like, wow, okay, it was from this swing low. So honestly, for me, this is a little bit of a learning experience that I should be paying, because I usually put more weight on previous or on more recent price action. So this swing high would have more weight than this swing low because it happened after it. So I actually, I should, and I will be starting to mark up some swing lows and swing highs that are a little bit prior to what I would typically look at. Just because I can see right here that we bounced at a level I didn't really expect us to bounce. So in terms of the target for this trade and whether or not we bounce off of the 382 level or we just continue dumping, I'm really just looking at this zone right here where this light blue box is, and that's pretty much just signifying the start of this huge 15%, bullish candle. I know I mentioned this in a couple previous videos, but typically anytime you see these huge candles, it's an inefficient move and the market typically retraces and fills those in. So I'm thinking that this, at least for now, is going to be the low. If we break below this, 6,800 to 7,000 level, then I'm going to be a little bit more concerned, to be honest. But that's kind of what I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now. Moving on to ZRX, just a brief little note that I actually picked up some ZRX the day before this thing pumped because I had a alert on my phone from Blockfolio that we broke this SR level here, and I bought, right here in the box. As you can see, we've had resistance here, resistance here, and then we just shot through this level. So this was one that I had my eyes on. I believe I did mention this in one of my previous videos. So honestly, I was pretty lucky to scoop some up here for super cheap. I didn't sell any, obviously. ZRX is one of my long-term holds. I am definitely a big believer in the project, so scoop some up, put it in my wallet, and it was a crazy 50% gain. And now, what are we even doing now? We're kind of consolidating. It looks like we're trying to get another leg up. So if you scooped up some ZRX like a day or two ago, props to you. So this kind of translates into the first piece of news, which is why the hell ZRX shot up 50% in like 30 minutes. And that's because Coinbase pretty much bought this decentralized trading platform called Paradex. And basically Paradex is built on the ZRX protocol. So that pretty much just further added to the evidence that, Coinbase is going to add ZRX in the future, because they did release, or in one of their blog posts, they did mention how they were looking to add ERC20 tokens for the next coin they were going to add to Coinbase. So this is honestly pretty interesting. The use of the decentralized exchange is not going to be stateside right now. They're launching it overseas in certain places because they need to have, regulatory compliance here in the United States, and Coinbase is definitely really big on that. That's why they've only listed 4 tokens as of now. So they're very, very, restrictive in terms of what they list. So I'm not surprised that the use of this decentralized platform is not going to be available in the United States until all regulatory checks are clear. And I think then after that, and basically when this decentralized exchange gets launched in the US, I think it's going to be really good because it'll definitely increase the amount of tokens that something like Coinbase, which is obviously the biggest exchange in the United States, has, definitely giving them more liquidity and more eyes on them, right? I don't know if they are going to be available on Coinbase per se, and what I mean by Coinbase is that that kind of newer or noob-friendly, I guess you could call it noob-friendly interface, right? Not GDAX, but when you just go on Coinbase.com and you could kind of just input the amount of crypto you want to buy in that box. I've never done it because you have to pay ridiculous fees, but it's going to be interesting to see if the tokens available on the decentralized exchange are going to be within that, Coinbase noob-friendly interface as well. But there is a lot of evidence now that Coinbase is adding, or not is adding, but going to add ZRX. So I am super stoked about that. Typically I don't, spout out like crazy, permabull stuff, but I am just so bullish on ZRX right now after this article. It's unbelievable. Usually I try to keep a cool, level head when I'm analyzing stuff. But, sometimes that just huge bullish feeling just overwhelms you. And that's exactly how I'm feeling about ZRX right now. And I'm so happy I picked up a little bit more yesterday, or the day before yesterday. And then we just had this crazy pump. But this is definitely really, really bullish news for Coinbase and specifically ZRX holders. So moving on to this most recent announcement, Coinbase is basically releasing Coinbase Pro, which is basically just a updated version of GDAX. So I think last week they released Coinbase Prime, which the interface looked very similar to this, if not the same, which was just basically for institutional investors. So I think Coinbase Pro is just an updated version of GDAX based on all of these points that they've highlighted. Obviously, they've made a few tweaks, but I think they're kind of working on integrating the two exchanges or the two platforms a little bit better, because Coinbase and Coinbase Pro kind of mesh together more than Coinbase and GDAX, right? Coinbase Pro, I guess it just the name of Coinbase Pro sounds right. Oh, you're using Coinbase Pro. So I think it's definitely good for marketing and for getting new people on board. But what was actually really interesting about this is they mentioned here in a brief blurb, if I can find it. We're offering customers a unique opportunity to begin truly participating in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. For example, our vision is to give customers the ability to participate in services like staking and protocol voting that are distinct to crypto. So this actually stood out to me because the whole staking part, is Coinbase going to basically allow you to stake your tokens? So maybe like Ethereum or any other coins that allow staking, and you can actually stake them on Coinbase without having to, put them in your wallet. Or Neo is another one, for example. Or Neo actually pays dividends. It isn't staking, but it's interesting that Coinbase is going to, or potentially allow staking right from their platform. So are they going to like kind of combine or pool together all of the, let's say, Ethereum tokens on the Coinbase exchange and just make one huge staking pool that pays out dividends to the people? That should honestly be something really interesting to watch for. But as I talked about yesterday, Coinbase has a huge ambition, much past just being an exchange. We were talking about yesterday how they were looking to get a banking charter, a federal banking charter, right? And as you can see here, they've got a lot bigger ambitions than just being an exchange. And I think Coinbase is just absolutely killing it right now in the cryptocurrency space, as well as banks, which we're going to talk about in the final article. But Coinbase surpassed their, I think, Q4 revenue by I don't even know how many millions of dollars, which just shows you how lucrative of a business these exchanges are. So definitely this piece about staking and protocol voting is really interesting to see what Coinbase comes out with. But overall, Coinbase Pro is, really just an updated version of GDAX. I believe at the end of June, they're going to, June 29th, they're going to migrate everybody off of GDAX to Coinbase Pro. So just a new interface that, we've all got to get accustomed with. It looks honestly pretty nice, to be honest. But moving on to the final piece, this is actually a really interesting read about how smaller banks are just making a killing off of cryptocurrency. And basically it's specifically smaller banks because a lot of the larger ones, right, such as Chase or JP Morgan, they've either have had negative sentiment towards Bitcoin or cryptocurrency as a whole, because obviously cryptocurrency is a threat to them. So basically, since all of these larger banks don't want to get involved in crypto or want to ignore it, smaller banks have, stepped up and started working with exchanges, right? Because exchanges need some kind of place to store their fiat funds, right? They also need a place to store some of their crypto, right? Some of these banks are actually holding crypto for exchanges or for people, and they're getting paid out in the fee in crypto fees. And that is where these banks, these smaller banks, are just making a killing off of this, right? Because exchanges such as Bittrex, Binance, Poloniex, I think they're making like over $1 million a day in just trading fees alone, right? So if banks like these are charging transaction fees for crypto, it's pretty much going to be the same thing. So it's interesting to see, and an important point to note, how crypto has so many other opportunities outside of just the trading and holding of coins. Because when you really zoom out and look at the bigger picture, cryptocurrency is a revolution. It's not just making 10 20x off of tokens. Blockchain technology as a whole is going to disrupt so many sectors of the economy, and there's going to be different areas that you can profit off of, and not just the tokens directly, right? There's going to be so many side effects. So, one of them, for example, was how companies who integrated blockchain into their business, or even just change their name to some sort of change their name to something that was related to crypto, had their stock prices absolutely soar. So it's really interesting and definitely notable to pay attention to the effects that crypto is having outside of the tokens and the trading, basically, and what parts of the economy are basically getting impacted by it. And I think, smaller banks are definitely, taking or just making a killing off of this, because they're filling the void that larger banks have left open, pretty much, because larger banks don't like cryptocurrency. So somebody's got to do it. Honestly, it's a really good read. The link for this will be in the description. And that's pretty much it for today. I know not too much on the technicals, but not really going to force anything or just rehash something too much, because that doesn't really provide any kind of value. So hopefully tomorrow there's going to be some interesting setups. Going to just keep watching Bitcoin and see how that plays out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.